The second biggest cause for divorce is money and finances. The first one is lack of love and a relationship. And in today's video, we're going to answer a lot of questions related to finances as a couple by answering a lot of questions that were submitted to us in prior episodes. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode at NOVARISE. And you heard that right. Today we're going to answer a lot of questions that we've been getting from the audience regarding how do we manage our finances and how do we invest together as a couple and as partners. So the way we're going to do this is that we got a lot of questions, and some of them were repetitive. So what we decided to do was to take in all of the questions and we started placing them in different buckets. So what you're going to see today is multiple different buckets. And within those buckets, you're going to see questions that belong to those buckets. And hopefully that will answer the questions that we got from some of you that were somewhat repetitive, but we're going to try to make them not repetitive. Otherwise, this will be a very lengthy episode. So now, without further ado, I'll let you lead the way.
Yes. So the first bucket that we have is managing finances and contributions as a couple. And the first question is by Bianca Perdomo. She's asking, what's the correct contribution? 50-50?
I think that's a very broad question. Are you saying 50-50 in terms of money? Are you saying 50-50 in terms of time, effort, or like what exactly? So if the question is pertaining money, yes, we do put 50-50 into the business, and whatever we make out of it, it's equally distributed between the two of us. In terms of effort and work, that's very hard to quantify. First, because you and I have different roles. We wear different hats in the company. Like, you focus a lot on the marketing, on the customer service side, and on the buildup of our website, which is a whole other world in itself. It might seem easy and nice and clean, but a lot goes behind it. And in my case, I deal with the numbers in the company. I take care of the books. I maintain the relationship with our team of accountants. I do the content creation part. So it's hard to say, oh, you're doing more or you're doing less because of how different our roles are. And we don't quantify things that way as long as the two of us feel comfortable and feel that we're adding value to the company and to one another.
I mean, with time, it has changed because now we have a baby. And so that means that she's taking care of the baby more than I do. And I need to take over certain responsibilities in the business, and that means that we're kind of like dividing and conquering right now.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense to have the both of us taking care of our baby 24/7. I mean, you do take care of the baby, but it's just not as frequent as I do it.
And it's also because I don't have boobies. I cannot give her milk.
Yeah, wow. And then it doesn't make any sense for me to be in the company as often as before, because then who's going to take care of the baby? Yes, we can hire help, but we agree that this is not something we wanted to do. We want it to be as present as possible, at least for now. And then as time goes by, we are going to reassess if we're still comfortable doing what we're doing right now. And if not, then we might consider help in the future. But now things seem to work good.
So far, good. Now, the next question that we have is Stephanie Florentino, and she's asking who's in charge of what. It is important to define the roles.
I think we sort of answered that at the beginning, but I mean, to elaborate a little bit more on that, I think it has to do with each of our skills, right? Like, I'm not going to assign something that's accounting related to you. One, because you find it boring. Two, you'll be miserable doing something that you don't enjoy. And I wouldn't be the right person to build a website. It took me, one time I tried to build a website, it took me 12 hours to add one sentence to the website. And it still remained very static, and I was very frustrated. So,
and you didn't want to do it at all.
And I didn't want to do it at all.
You didn't enjoy it. So
yeah, so
why would you be doing it?
So why do that, right? So in that case, yes, the roles need to be defined. Because we each need to contribute what we're best at and then eventually complement one another. And it's also important to have the roles set up from the get-go, because that will help everyone manage expectations, right? Like, you do this, I do that. And of course, it has to be an agreement mutual agreement between your partner and you. And at least that way you know what to expect from each and one of you.
And I think it's also healthy to not be in the same role, because imagine you being in the same role, doing the same thing, like on top of each other.
It wouldn't be time efficient either, And then, it lends itself to possibly arguments, because you have your way of doing things, I have my way of doing things, and ultimately you're not really dividing and conquer. You're just doing the same thing and wasting more time. For
100%, yeah. So, next question by Elvia Hernandez and Gregory. What would be the ideal order of organizing money as a couple when salaries are unequal? I have a lot to say on this topic, meaning that when we started dating, I didn't make as much money as you did. You were working in a much better job than I did, but I didn't care, because when I grew up, my mom was a single mother. So that means that I always saw her like making the business. So like going, selling stuff, doing the deals. And I thought that was normal. So yeah, I mean, I saw women, like they can also make a lot of money. So that never made me feel insecure.
Yeah, I think it's very important that each and one of you are comfortable with what your partner is making, and to, discuss things out and to get the feeling of, hey, are you comfortable with me making this much money, but this is how much I can contribute to the table. I know you make more. In the past relationships that I have been, unfortunately, the partners that I had were very uncomfortable with me making more money. And I didn't feel sorry about it, because whatever I made was the product of a lot of hard work. I went to school, worked multiple jobs to, land myself where I'm at. I'm very fortunate to be able to go and study what I wanted to study, and also be able to exercise my career. And there was no reason to be ashamed of it. But unfortunately, the partners that I had at the time, they did make me feel ashamed. And to a certain degree, like I started kind of like hiding my success. And in a way, it wasn't nice. So it was very, very nice to get into a new relationship and see that it wasn't a big deal for you. And if anything, you actually were even more supportive. In fact, now that I remember, during the period that we were dating, I got offered a job that offered me even more money. And you were very supportive in me taking it, like, go for it. At the end, I decided not to go for it, because I ran the numbers and I was like, it just doesn't add up for me. But then a year afterwards, another job came by and they offered me more money. And you still encouraged me to take it, and I went for it. So just, like at the end, not everything is about money. Easier said than done. I get it. But there are other things that your partner can bring to the table that cannot be quantifiable. Like in your case, it was the effort, the time, like things that you were able to do because I wasn't able to do them because I was at work. Yes, I make more money, but I also had less time. You had more time, and that sort of like lended itself to have a good dynamic. And in retrospect, now things are a little bit different now, because now you're the one that is doing the biggest chunk of the work in the company, and I'm the one who is kind of like scaling back in the work because I'm taking care of our baby. So imagine if I would have been like not supportive at the beginning of the relationship. Like, I wonder what the dynamic will be now that I'm not working as much in the company.
I wouldn't know, but what I do know is that women don't find attractive a man that is not secure about himself, and that is not like supportive as well. So, I mean, I hope I was that person for you, right?
I mean, hello, we're here.
Yep. Okay, so next question that we have by Javier. I would like advice on how to manage finances. Have a joint account with a partner or separate accounts? I mean, in a few words, we do have both. Like,
we have both, but it's just, I mean, we never change anything from the way we were doing it in day one, so to speak. Like, right, yes, we got married. Yeah, that changed, right? Our relationship grew and we are maturing throughout the years. But when we first met, we each have our bank accounts, and that continued throughout the relationship. And eventually when we started doing business together, then we opened up joint accounts, joint business accounts. And then we've kept that layout ever since. We haven't really changed anything. We know what comes into the business. We also know what leaves. We know what our salaries are and when we get paid because I approve the accounting. So like we get paid and I know how much you make. But I will say that having each of our separate personal bank accounts help. I mean, we do put in equal contributions into the household expenses. But at the end of the day, I think it really helps a lot that we are free to choose how to use our spare money. Because at the end of the day, we're separate people and we're different and we've earned it. So why not give yourself or be able to afford what you like or your luxuries or your toys, whichever word you want to use to refer to them.
Yeah, I was listening to one of the videos on YouTube, and this guy was saying that it's very healthy to have separate bank accounts. I mean, one for you as a couple could be, I mean, in this case, we have our business and we have everything together in there. And also we have separate accounts, like you said. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's go for the next question. And this is a category or the next bucket, a personal and social questions. And this is How is the Baby by Alex Sanchez.
She's doing great.
She's doing great. She's growing up every time. And I mean, she's sleeping a little bit more.
Yeah.
The first days they were a little bit rough because she didn't sleep as much.
Yeah, she was hungry all the time. Well, she's still hungry, but like she parses it out.
And it is an incredible feeling to have a child. In my personal opinion, what I do feel is I cannot wait to see how she's going to develop through the years. I know it's not going to be easy, but I want to see how she looks, how she behaves. And I believe that her behavior is a big resemblance of who we are as people. So I'm very interested in seeing that as we keep growing. The next question that we have is by Holder Spaces. The question is, will you be doing some kind of networking event soon? That will be up to you.
Yeah, definitely not this year. I mean, it's about to come to an end, but by 2024, we are considering it, but we have to first assess, is there any demand for it? Like, do you guys want a live event? And I guess if so, just please let us know down in the comments, and also let us know where would you like the event to happen. We're in the U.S. Like, we're keeping it in the U.S. for now. And we're looking forward to the comment and start counting votes. And based on that, we'll determine, whether we're going to do a live event or not.
Yeah, let us know in the comment sections. So now the next question is being asked by Monica. Do you eat arepa at home? First of all, explain what's an arepa.
So for those who don't know, arepa, it's a very traditional dish in Venezuela. It's a corn bread. That's the simplest way to explain it. It's made out of corn. You cut it in the middle and then you stuff it with stuff, right? Like some people put chicken, some people put beef, cheese, ham and cheese.
It's like a hamburger.
Yeah, like a burger, but instead of using buns, you use cornbread or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but personally, I'm tired of them, and
for now,
because I ate them a lot. Yeah, I used to love them, but I'm just a little bit tired of them. But they're pretty good. Okay, so next question that we have is by Maria Tirado. I love seeing and watching your videos and taking care of the beautiful baby. She hopes that.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you start putting your finances together as a couple? I think everything started when we started dating, because we started businesses together.
Yeah.
So then we kind of like were merging our finances because we had a business together.
It was just so weird because we were going out. We were not sure where the relationship was going to go. I mean, if it was even a relationship at that point, but we know that we both wanted to be business owners and entrepreneurs. So we met, we started hanging out, and then it was more of like, hey, you want to do a business together? And then we just did it.
Yeah, and then ever since it has been like that.
Yeah, the dynamic has worked. I mean, the businesses that we started at the time, they failed. But when you fail, don't learn the lesson, right?
You failed, you learn.
You learned. And then NOVARISE came along, and the rest is history. We're here.
Okay, now let's go for the next bucket: investment and joint entrepreneurship. Okay, how should the work involved in the investment be divided? And this was asked by Bianca Perdomo.
I mean, investment, what, like in real estate, investment in the business? If it's in the business,
both.
we do things equally, but equally by our definition. Because like I said in the beginning, there's some things that each and one of us do that is very hard to quantify.
Yes.
I think that the magic formula for us is to make sure that we put in the effort and the work and to check with one another to make sure the other person feels okay. But I think for us, at least for me personally, the way I go about things is that I always want to put in the effort out of respect for you, out of respect for the relationship, because I don't want to not do something and lead that into you thinking that maybe I don't care about certain things, which is definitely not the case. So we don't really have a problem in that area, like in the sense that we feel like either one of us are not working enough.
And I think every time that we invest together, like you were saying, we do try to compensate on each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I think that was very, very important in our end, because we cannot be doing the same thing in the same investment.
I mean, we only have 24 hours a day. Yeah.
And when we were investing in businesses, the way we went about it is that I tell you, okay, this is what I see. And you tell me, okay, this is what I see in the investment that we're about to make. So we're both making a decision based on the skills that we have.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like a Shark Tank.
It's like a mutual agreement, but we wouldn't invest in something that either one of us disagree with. Even in my case, even when you have given me the green light to invest in something that you were not sure, like I didn't do it out of respect, because I don't want you to feel like neglected or that I wasn't taking you into consideration. There were some investments that I did that you gave me the green light, not necessarily because you didn't like it, but you didn't understand it, but you trusted me enough to do those. And then same thing with you, like I believe you invested in some businesses where you saw the potential in them, but like I wasn't really sure about how that was going to go. But in the end, it was done together. Like it was discussed mutually, and that's how we decided to proceed.
100%. Yep. Now, next question asked by Eva Ramirez. Is it a good key to legally unite two entrepreneurs? There is no narcissism, egocentrism between you?
I mean, legally binding each other in the business, of course, because we both put in the effort. So it's only fair that on paper that it should belong to the two of us. And because we view the legality of it more than like a claim, it's more of like a statement to say, hey, this is something that we collectively as partners built together. In terms of egocentrism or narcissism, I don't know. I don't think there has been an issue there in that sense.
I think that you were mature enough to see through my lack of awareness when I was probably seeking for some type of validation from your end, and I will present ideas like they were mine, but you told me that in the past, and you were like, okay, but I just told you about that. And I think you were grown enough or like intellectually mature enough to say, okay, like I see Anthony, like he's not doing this out of like being a bad person. And you kind of like foresaw all of those aspects, and you were like, okay, I understand him.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Okay. So now the next question is by Freddy23. How did you started investing, and did you study anything or specialize in something? And what money did you use to start with?
I studied finance. I have my, 4-year degree, my undergraduate degree in finance, and I also have a master's in finance. But I will say that whatever I studied and college or my master's did not really prepare me for investing. So let me just put it out there, because I know there are sometimes questions that we get from the audience and where they're concerned that they don't have a college degree or like whatever degree. They believe that having a degree, it's like a requirement in order to go into investing. And that's not true. You can be without a degree and just choose to, let's say, finish high school and then just completely go into investing, or not even finish high school, because we have people from different backgrounds who didn't really have the opportunity to finish a certain level of education, but that doesn't stop you from wanting to become a investor. In fact, when I decided to go into the investing route, I invested in a couple of courses, and a lot of it brought me a lot of frustration, not with the content in itself, but because I felt cheated, because I thought this should be the type of information that colleges should be teaching, like especially if I'm majoring in finance and I'm getting a master's in finance, then I should be learning about this stuff. But the reality was that they were not teaching that stuff in college. Yes, I was learning what was necessary to have a career in finance, but not necessarily learning what was needed to become an investor. So yes, I went to college. Yes, I got my master's. Yes, I also invested in courses. All of them are not connected to one another. And how I started investing personally in my own portfolio, I started by accident. I started investing in Alabama, and then the rest is history. And I've shared that story multiple times in different episodes in our channel.
Now, on my end, the way I started investing is by buying stocks. Like, it was the easiest way of doing that. And also, I think, investing in my knowledge, because I started buying courses, because I realized that the college system or the education system here in the United States, it was not what I expected it to be, and it was too expensive, in my opinion, to actually keep moving forward with my education. So for the ones that don't know, I went to a community college and I decided to study liberal arts because I didn't know what to study when I went there in the first place. Then after a while, I decided to go into nutrition. So I decided to specialize in nutrition, but I started seeing some inconsistencies on the education because I wanted to study something specific. But then they were telling me to go and study drawing, that was a requirement in order for the class. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I want to study something specific, and they're telling me to go to a painting class. Then they're telling me to go to a history class that we're not talking about nutrition. I don't know how that's important. Please educate me in the comment sections. And then by the time I decided to go for like a bachelor's degree, and the education was becoming more expensive. So each class was going to cost me more and more. And I decided to not go because I took an internship in a hospital, and I saw a lot of people that were there that had master's degrees. They had bachelor degrees in the field which I wanted to study, which was nutrition. And I realized that they were making just like $5 or $6 more than I was making, and I was just an intern. So I was like, it doesn't make for me to spend years of my life just to get paid that much. So, and I was happy that I didn't go on that path, because then I started to buying courses, and then I started to like actually do the work, meaning I started like going up to people, creating some type of relationship. I started doing the thing. And in this case was social media management, marketing. And I was like, I actually enjoyed this more than just going to college for no reason, in my opinion. So that's how I started investing in my knowledge first. And that's how I started in business overall. And answering the last question, what money did you use to start investing and start saving money? The little money that I had, I was like, okay, let me buy a course, let me buy some stocks. And then I started saving more and more so we can start a business and have some cushion so we can start pushing that business as well. And the next question is by Juan Ortiz.
How do you make it so that the two of you work together? Because the normal thing is that one is always the one who's doing everything, and the other one is the one who's telling you what to do, but doesn't do anything. How do you work together as a couple, and how do you divide the work between you two?
Once again, it goes back to knowing what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And one exercise that you can start doing right now at home, if you have a partner, ask him or ask her, like, okay, what do you think are my strengths? And vice versa. So what do you think are my strengths? That's a question for me. To you.
So you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Oh, well, I told you that one of your strengths is the fact that you're very curious, and that curiosity leads you to want to find out stuff. And sometimes you find out stuff that it might not necessarily relate with the business, But down the line, it turns out that it was very helpful to learn about that. And hey, voila, you already know that information. So sometimes you're into stuff that like I just sometimes find it to be a waste of time. But then as time goes by, I realize how important that is. So that's definitely a big skill and something that, you know, as partners, it's a big lessons learned for me, because I should never, and no one should turn out that curiosity factor that it's in your partner, if you happen to have a partner like that.
And on my end, I mean, telling you what are your strengths are like, you can foresee situations in the future that I can probably don't even think about it. And also you're very good at breaking down stuff. So when I create an email to send to our audience and I'm like, what do you think about this? Do you think this sounds good? Is it simplified enough for them to understand what I'm trying to say? And you were like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah,
go on this. So you're a great teacher as well. So I think those are one of your very good skills. And answering the question from Juan, I believe that was his name. It's all about finding your strengths, weaknesses, and do more of the strengths rather than focusing solely on the weaknesses. Of course, you want to work on your weaknesses, but if you're really good at something, what would you force someone to do otherwise? Another framework that you guys are using is that, okay, we have two hats. So you have the hat of the visionary and you have the hat of the operations.
And
because that's what you need for a business to work or an investment to work as well.
Yeah, and that sometimes, like the work of the visionary can sometimes be unquantifiable, because like you're having this vision and that's creative work, and you cannot go somewhere unless you have the vision. But it's hard to say, well, this vision is worth this much, as opposed to the physical effort that you put into something. Yeah, you can say, well, I put in X amount of hours to get this done. But when you're visualizing something, you're putting together a plan, that's something that doesn't happen in a straight line. And that can sometimes be interpreted as the person who does nothing and just gives out orders. But guess what? Without those orders, sometimes things cannot be executed. So it's important to have a better understanding of what those roles are and what they signify to the company and also to the growth of the two of you as a couple. Otherwise, it will continue to create fictions, because not everything is quantifiable. What's important is that you are aware of it and that you know that whatever is not quantifiable, you know, be aware that, okay, it's not quantifiable, but does it bring value to the company? Is it helping the company go or move towards a certain direction? And is that even the direction you want to go towards?
And I think it's very important to understand, does the person has any success on that realm? Meaning, for example, I heard many people saying that they're visionaries, but do they actually do the work? And do they actually have some results doing it? I think that's very important to understand as well.
But I think that's where the confusion is laying. You just asked the question, like, are they actually doing the work? But what kind of work, right? And that's what we're trying to define here. Like, the work of the visionary might not necessarily be as hands down as someone who's doing the physical work, but they are putting in the work and designing the plan or seeing the direction.
Yeah, I do
understand. Now the direction of like, okay, this is where I want the company to go. And it's actually propelling the team and the company to go.
And I do understand that part, but what I'm saying is that, okay, you as a visionary, right, you do all that planning, and obviously after like 1 or 2 years, you kind of like get a gist of if that vision came to fruition. But what happens if it doesn't? Like, are you bringing results with that visionary hat or not? That's where you need to analyze, okay, am I doing a good job at this or not?
Or the other person wearing the other hat. Hey, do I really want to continue to follow this person?
Yep.
Because A, they're getting results, or no, they're just bringing us down as a company or as a team, and it's not taking us anywhere. And if that's the case, then that's something that everyone should stop and reconsider to see if you guys are heading towards the right direction or not.
Yep.
Now, the following question comes from Waldy Aguilar, and the question is, do you invest in real estate together or separately? And when do you advise opening an LLC?
So we invest in real estate separately because you have been doing this for a long time
Yeah,
before
that's
I
how
did.
we started it.
Yep.
And so there's no need to change what we've been doing so far because it's been working for us. So in terms of real estate, we invest in it separately. Recently, we did a deal together after we got married. But whatever was built when we were not married, we still maintain that separately. And in the business, we do everything together for the business.
Yep.
In terms of the LLC, well, there's two answers. Like there's the attorney's answer, and then there's our real life answer. So the attorneys will say that you should open an LLC as soon as possible. Ideally, you will create the LLC before the business is set up or before the investment is set up, because that is the best way to protect your investment and to do asset protection. Our answer will be whenever you find it to be the most convenient for you, because if you're having a business,
It is not cheap.
yeah, if you're having a business that it's not generating revenue, then sometimes it doesn't make sense to create an LLC. It all depends on the type of business you're doing as well. So if we're talking about an LLC, you might necessarily need to create that right away. In my case, I did create it right away because I'm a sucker for following instructions and like doing everything the experts tell me to do, because I figured they're the experts, so I should listen to them. But now, from experience, I realize that sometimes it is more important to make sure you are bringing revenue, that you're profitable, that you're generating cash flow before you decide to jump on doing something else that's going to cost you more money. Because to Anthony's point, maintaining LLCs are not cheap. Like every year you have to pay
Filing fees,
renewal fees.
registration.
There's also the accountings that you need to pay for, because, you know, you need someone to help you maintain the books. And if you don't know how to do them properly, the best next thing to do is to hire somebody to help you do that. So all of that adds up and it costs money. So two different perspectives. Only you can decide what's best for you.
100%. Yep. Now let's go for the next question.
The next question is, hello, this is from Smart Up. Hello, I would like to know how you manage so many properties in other states. How do you acquire them, and the day-to-day management, whether it's repairs, collecting rent, or even evictions. I am in the process of buying properties in another state, and I would like to know what I'm facing. So in my case, I will say that the number one thing you need to focus on is on building your power team. By power team, I'm talking your realtor is going to bring you the deals that you're looking for, the deals that are meeting your criteria, having a property management or a property management company. They're going to be the ones in charge of finding the good tenants for you, placing them, doing the collection of rent, doing the maintenance or the upkeep, and also doing the eviction if it's necessary to do that. So that's how we do it out of state.
Something I want to add is, before just start investing in a different state, is try to check if in that state you have enough volume of services that you can actually see. Because you don't want to just go somewhere and they only have one property management place or business. Because what happens if something goes wrong with the property that you're investing, or with the property management company that you're working with? You don't want to work with them anymore. What's going to happen with the property that you have?
Chances are you either screw in a way, or you can also look at it as an opportunity for you to create your own property management company.
The best way, in my opinion, to go, if there is volume, go to Google Maps, search for the business or for like the specific role that you're looking for to fulfill. Could be a property management, could be a realtor, and just search to see if you find services over there. And that could be good at the starting point.
I mean, the idea is that if this question was asked, I'm assuming that this person already did all the due diligence, all the market research, and the question is more about how do I ensure that that happens, as opposed to, hey, going and looking up a Google review. But hey, this is your interpretation of the question. So whichever way the question was meant to be, you got two different answers. For those who are looking to learn how to do the market research, or how to find the right area to invest in, or the type of property to invest in, we have a free webinar that you can actually join. and learn how to do that. And you can actually register to the link that you see on the screen, or just by looking for the link down in the description box below.
Yes. Let's go for the next question then.
Yeah, so the next question will now be on a different bucket. So the bucket is called Challenges and Decisions in the Relationship. And the first question comes from John, Barcelona. How do you overcome disagreements?
It's not easy.
Yeah, definitely not easy.
But one of the things that I can say that has worked for us is that if for some reason I'm not ready to listen to you, because probably I'm doing something, I'm very busy doing whatever I'm doing. In the past, I was just pretending that I was listening, but now it wasn't on purpose, like I'm just pretending I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay. At the moment, I was like, okay, I think I grabbed whatever she was telling me, but I forgot some details were very important to what were you trying to tell me. And that opened up the door to a lot of arguments, because you were telling me, okay, I just told you that. Like, were you listening? So now the way I do it, if she's telling me something, I'll be like, okay, give me 1 second or give me a couple of minutes. Can you talk to me about this later on? And that allows us to have a much better communication. And so we are on the same page better. And I think that helps us a lot. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I completely agree. It's definitely not easy, but it also helps to think or to ask yourself, hey, is this person doing this out of despite, or is this person generally disagreeing because he or she has a concern? And then try to understand that concern. But it's very hard to keep that in mind when you're trying to get a point across. But it's something that comes with the territory. I mean, we're a couple, but we're also business partners, and we don't always have to agree with everything, as long as we come to mutual agreement to something and we respect each other's opinion. Now, the next question that we have is from Archangel, and the question is, if you both invest in a project, but one of you makes a wrong decision along the way, how do you ensure that this doesn't emotionally influence your day-to-day relationship as a couple? I mean, we've both made mistakes for sure.
We have made a lot of mistakes. Yep.
In my case, I acknowledge the mistake. I don't have a problem doing that because I'm not the kind of person who gets stuck in the mistake. I'm thinking, okay, here's the mistake. Let's analyze what went wrong. Let's admit, okay, here's what went wrong. Own up to it, because it's very important to own up to your mistakes. And then propose, if there's something to propose, on how to fix it, if there's any fixing, or how to move on from it. Like, that's how I go about it. To me, one of the things that bothers me the most when it comes to mistake is when the person doesn't want to acknowledge that a mistake happened, because you can't ignore what happened. It's not so much about the mistake, but out of respect for your partner, to acknowledge that and to work together and how to move past it. If there's something to be done together, and if there's not, then what are you doing about it, and how can you help everyone to move past it for something that you created?
And one of the additional things that you should think about in every relationship is that you guys got together to support each other. Even if the other person did a mistake, the best is an investment. Why would you put someone down or make them cry about it? Like, the best way that you can do is just support them, saying, okay, like, it happened. Like she said, acknowledge that the problem was happening. But another thing that you can start thinking about is, like, just imagine yourself here in planet Earth and just think about how many of the people around this world will actually care about you, will support you. And the answer is your partner. Like, whoever is next to you, in this case, your wife, could be your boyfriend, girlfriend. Just think about it and just realize that the only person that cares about you the most is whoever is next to you. And that will give you much better support in this situation. Better perspective. So just think about it.
The next question comes from Lourdes, and Lourdes is asking, what has been the most difficult challenge you have faced as a couple in the different type of investments that you have made? And do you always sync your ideas or investment plans, or have you had any disagreements with any other projects?
There will always be disagreement.
Yeah, there will always be. No one is perfect. We're different people.
I think instead of saying disagreements, I think it's just different ways of looking at things.
Yeah, different points of view.
Different points of view.
I mean, we are different people.
Yep.
I think that has worked to our advantage and the business because, once again, we wear different hats, but we also see things that the other person doesn't see. And I think it's more of a matter of like communicating each other's point of view. And we have gotten better. At the beginning, it wasn't so easy because, we just were trying to get to know each other and stuff like that. But now we kind of have a better understanding of what each other wants. And we almost in a way can anticipate what the other person wants or is about to say, which I think is very helpful, especially now because we have a little one and at home that takes up a lot of our time. So there have been instances in where we don't even have to finish the sentences. We already kind of like, no, okay, I got you. I know what you need. And same thing on the other hand. So I will say transparency and communication will be the biggest thing that's going to help with quote unquote disagreements or your different opinions or different points of views.
I completely agree with you. I think one of the challenges answering the question that Lourdes asked is not having someone that can understand, meaning like not necessarily as like in the couple, but also the challenges outside of the circle in which you are, like your family, like whoever is around you. Sometimes they don't understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like you feel lonely, but you're not really lonely. It feels lonely because in our circle, we're the only ones doing what we do. And sometimes when you get excited over something, there's no one else to share it outside of us. And then sometimes when there's a challenge, you don't know who to go to find solutions because nobody understands what we do. But at the same time, it feels good because we know we can count on one another. So it's kind of like a bittersweet kind of thing. Like just when you're about to get very sad because you cannot tell your friend or a family member about your big discovery or go and seek for advice, you all of a sudden realize that, hey, but I got you. And we don't know how we're going to figure this out, but we got each other's back and we will eventually figure it out. Same thing with the excitement. Oh, hey, let's just celebrate with the two of us. And that makes things so much better.
100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, moving on to the next bucket, financial and legal planning. Do you have a trust? And as a couple, what is the correct way to plan and organize that? That's a question from Anna. Anna, I think everyone should have a trust, not just from the asset protection standpoint, but also on dividing the assets when you're no longer around. And then who is the right person to do that? Or how you go about it? You go to your legal team, to an attorney that has experience setting up trusts, someone who's reputable. And how do you find out whether they're reputable or not? And then you just share that. Just go on Google and look for reviews. And you just start from there. Never, ever try to set up a trust on your own. None of us are legal professionals, so you should always consult with someone who knows what they're doing and they're the subject matter expert. But how do you know they're the right people? By educating yourself. There's tons of content like in our channel or tons of channels that are created by attorneys and legal experts that you can actually tune into, learn the basics, so that you can identify what's accurate and what's not. And then you can go ahead and do the hiring of those professionals that can help you set up that trust.
Do you think there's a specific amount that you should have in order to start thinking about a trust? $10,000, 20, a house, perhaps?
It's hard to answer that question because that number is set by a person, meaning what could be a lot of money for them might not be a lot for their neighbor and so on. So that's a very personal question to answer. I will say that set up a trust for whatever you consider to be valuable and valuable items that you think you want to hand down to your loved ones that might be valuable to them. Like I will say that's like the right amount, but I don't want to put like a specific number or an amount because for some people that might be too much, but then for some others, that's just not even worth putting it up in a trust. Now, on to the next question. This comes from Danelli. Do you do business with Bitcoin? I don't. I used to in the past, but I just don't have the patience or the time to deal with the volatility. And I understand that in investments, there will always be certain levels of volatility, but each and one of us need to decide how much volatility are we comfortable dealing with. And for me with Bitcoin, while exciting when we were riding the heights, it sometimes was difficult to stomach the lows. And I don't want to find myself in a situation where there is an emergency and that I need to access money sitting on that Bitcoin, and that unfortunately we're at the low phase and I cannot cash out on the money that I really need. So to me, that's just simply not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not personally a big fan of the cryptocurrency
World.
Maybe it can be a thing in the future. I am sure of that's going to happen. But I don't see it as a big investment or as a good investment as of now. Because I have invested thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, then there's so much volatility. Like, if you really want to make money with Bitcoin, you need to be kind of like a trader. You need to be there, sitting there, like kind of
truly understanding it.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot of people go in just because someone told them to,
Yeah,
or like a friend or like a celebrity. And that shouldn't be a reason to invest in Bitcoin and, or for any investment for that matter. Like, it's not enough for someone to come in and say, hey, invest in real estate because that's good. No, you need to understand why it's good for you to invest in real estate. And the same thing goes to Bitcoin or the stock market or anything else for that matter. And
also we have tried to implement a Bitcoin payments in our business for like our program that we have. And it wasn't successful at all because it was complicated accepting payments. So
integration with a website.
And integration with a website, for example, if you have a website in WordPress, Shopify, and like the majority of brands, it's not like they were accepting or they allow you an easy way to integrate with a provider that people can send you Bitcoins to. So, and in the past, when we purchased services from other businesses, we met this guy and he was accepting Bitcoin payments and he told us, okay, we do accept them. And I thought that they will keep those Bitcoins, but the result was that they will accept those Bitcoin payments, but immediately after they got that money, they will sell it. They didn't even want to keep it because there's too much volatility.
Yeah, like let's say for example, if they sold something for like $1,000, that $1,000 could be worth $50 in a few hours, like due to the volatility. And that was just simply not worth the risk of holding on to an asset that was that volatile.
So, so a lot of things to think about when you're investing in Bitcoin. It might be a good investment for sure. We never know. But
I mean, it's great if you don't need the money, you can wait. But in our case, like we always consider the what if, right? Like what if we really need to go down that path and really cash it out? And if it was just simply not worth the risk for us.
Okay, so that's going to be everything for this video. And let us know in the comment section below. What do you think? Maybe you can give us some more questions that we can do for our future video.
Yeah, not necessarily about finances as a couple. It could be that as well. But if there's any other subject that you're interested that you would like to create a video on, just feel free to let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, see you in the next one. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.